Welcome to That Bigfoot Show. I'll be your host today, Taylor James Johnson, and today we have a very, very special guest. Cryptozoologist, author, really good friend, Ken Gerhard. Now, Ken has traveled all over the world looking for all sorts of cryptid creatures. So I have a few questions for him. And he has quite a bit of Bigfoot knowledge stored up in his brain. So today, he's going to share some of it. Ken, take it away.
Hello, my name is Ken Gerhard, and I'm honored to be a widely recognized cryptozoologist, which means that I investigate evidence and claims of undiscovered animals, which often includes wondrous and enchanted beasts like the Loch Ness Monster, the Chupacabra, and Bigfoot. When I was a young boy, I was already fascinated by animals, creatures, and I loved monster movies. So when I first found out about cryptozoology, it was like a dream come true. I mean, here you were combining the best elements of both. And I remember watching my first TV show about Bigfoot when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and something inside me just clicked. I mean, was it really possible that there was a mysterious, giant, hairy, man-like creature roaming the woods of North America? I was enthralled. So when I was young, I had a lot of opportunities to travel all over the world with my mother. She was very adventurous, and she used to tell me fabulous stories about creatures like the Mothman and the Yeti. At age 15, I actually found myself at Loch Ness in Scotland investigating the famous Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie. So even at a young age, I was kind of looking into some of these mysteries, but I certainly never planned on it to be a career path. Then about 20 years ago, I met a bunch of Bigfoot researchers here in my home state of Texas, and we began to go out in the field, and I began to experience things that I couldn't explain. And so that really sparked a fire inside of me, and honestly, I've just been on the trail ever since. So about a year ago, I wrote this book, which culminates about a lifetime of research, actually. It talks about my early beginnings in the field of cryptozoology and Bigfoot research. This has been a real labor of love to write this book, and I'm very honored that it's been critically acclaimed. So what I tell people is that I've done Bigfoot research for about 45 years since I was a young boy. I've done field work all over North America, from Alaska to Florida to Washington State, here in Texas, even down into Central America, where Bigfoot creatures have been reported, believe it or not. And I've worked with most of the leading Bigfoot investigators in the world. And so I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the phenomenon. I don't consider myself an expert per se. There is no such thing as an expert in Bigfoot, but I'm a darn good speculator, well-informed speculator. And so this book includes a lot of my research, consensus opinions from all the leading experts around the world, the best evidence, answers to questions like where is the definitive evidence, and even many of the best reports and sightings, in my opinion. So one of the things I write about in the book is that your worst day as a Bigfoot researcher is a nice day in the woods, right? Love being in the outdoors. But it really reminds me, because I've been very fortunate to travel all over the world, 26 different countries on 6 continents, and people don't realize how much vast wilderness area is left in the world these days. About almost half of the world's land surface remains wilderness area, essentially uninhabited by man. So certainly the potential is here for some type of unknown, or maybe many types of unknown creatures. And that really brings me back to the main point, which is that the process of discovery is ongoing. It's an essential part of the human experience. Exploring, discovering, learning. I think these are the quintessential elements that define who we are. And in that respect, it's important for us to keep an open mind, because you never know what's out there. One of the first things that people always ask me is if I've ever seen Bigfoot. Well, I haven't. So I tell them that I'm about 90% convinced that they exist based on my lifetime of experience and investigations. But I'm fairly convinced that I've heard Bigfoot vocalize on a number of occasions. primate-like sounds in the woods of Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and elsewhere. So on one notable occasion, back in 2003, I was with some other investigators at a spot in North Texas where there had recently been sightings of a Bigfoot. And we were in this remote location, and just after dark, we heard these very loud, deep, powerful grunting noises. It sounded just like an ape. And we couldn't see what was making these sounds, but ultimately we experienced some other things that night. We saw eye shine, we heard these eerie, baneful, wailing sounds, and then the following morning we found some footprints and some other evidence. So that was one of the most convincing things that I've ever experienced, that I thought, hey, there's got to be something to this. Bigfoot must be real. One of the great blessings of my life and my cryptozoology career is that I've managed to appear on several TV shows. Starting in 2006, I was discovered by a producer for the Travel Channel, and I was on a show called Legend Hunters on the Bigfoot episode. And then subsequent to that, I appeared on several episodes of a show called Monster Quest, which was very popular around that time. I've also appeared on shows like The Unexplained with William Shatner, Ancient Aliens, America Unearthed, Paranatural, Monsters and Mysteries in America, and I even hosted a TV series on the History Channel called Missing in Alaska back in 2015. So that's really opened a lot of doors for me. I've certainly been able to investigate a lot of things that I wouldn't have otherwise, and it's really helped to raise my profile and really helped me in terms of people that reach out to me with different bits of evidence and so forth. So definitely fortunate to have had that opportunity. Obviously, these are iconic, enduring mysteries that have gone on for decades or even centuries. And we really don't have a lot of tangible evidence at this point. Nothing conclusive, no physical evidence like remains and so forth. Of course, I'm optimistic and hopeful that someday we'll find that, that holy grail of evidence, a body or something conclusive, DNA, something along those lines. But I'm also pragmatic enough to accept that I may not be the investigator to find this evidence, and moreover, this evidence may not even be found in my lifetime. It may take another generation or maybe more generations of investigators like myself to finally get that conclusive proof. So I'm frequently contacted by young people in high school and college that are looking to pursue a career in cryptozoology, and they ask me how do they get into this stuff. And the first thing I tell them is, be sure and finish school, and if you have an opportunity to get a degree in zoology or anthropology or some other legitimate science, it really helps, because cryptozoology is not really accepted as an official science. It's more of a pseudoscience or kind of a fringe science. So having scientific credentials would be a huge thing. But apart from that, I tell people to reach out and join a group in your area. Believe it or not, there are active groups of Bigfoot investigators all over the country, pretty much in every state. And that's kind of how I got started. Hook up with some people that are a little bit more experienced, that'll take you out in the field, take you to so-called active areas and show you the ropes.
What do you see there?
This is dried out coyote droppings. You can see it's full of hair. So obviously the coyote consumed a small animal. Coyotes always leave their droppings in the middle of trails as a marker to show other coyotes and predators that this is their turf. This has obviously been here a long time. It feels like rabbit fur, so I would say that, and I've seen a lot of rabbits out here, so I would say that that's what the coyote ate. Oh look, there's like a little piece of a bone too. If Bigfoot exists, it's an animal, and nature always provides us little clues, things like droppings and tracks, what we call physical trace evidence, so you gotta keep your eyes open. So thanks for tuning in to That Bigfoot Show. I appreciate your time. Again, this is my book, The Essential Guide to Bigfoot. It can be found on Amazon.com. I also sell signed copies directly, and I can be contacted on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So remember, the seemingly impossible is just a further extension of the familiar. Bigfoot lives. Keep up the search.
So all of us here at That Bigfoot Show, yes, that one, would like to give a very big special thanks to Ken Gerhard for allowing us to pick his brain and talk to him. And if you have had an encounter or a sighting or anything, comment your comment in the comments, the ones below, and share them with us. And maybe one day we can talk to you. So this has been That Bigfoot Show. Yes, that one.